Now, California Congresswoman Karen Bass. Congresswoman, thank you so much for your time.
Having me on, Tamron.
Let me first start off with one of the questions on Twitter that's been already posed to the president, and it was, what are you willing to compromise to get the fiscal cliff done? What is your answer to that question?
Well, I think, first of all, that many compromises have already been done. I mean, for example, on the cuts issues, there's already been over $1 trillion of cuts. I think Democrats have demonstrated over and over again that we are willing to compromise and willing to make more compromises. But it's the Republicans now that need to come to the table and counter the proposal that the president put forward last week.
Well, part of the counter, and at least what some Republicans are hoping is a divide within the Democratic Party, is the issue of entitlements and how to handle it. Secretary Geithner was on and said Republicans want entitlement change. They will have to propose them. Let me play a little bit of what he said regarding Social Security.
We're prepared to, in a separate process, look at how to strengthen Social Security, but not as part of a process to reduce the other deficits the country faces.
Okay.
There's a notion that there are some Republicans who are, for lack of a better word, salivating at a possible divide where you have some Democrats who want no movement on entitlements and want to, if there's any heat to be taken, it to come from the GOP or go to the GOP.
Well, let me just say a couple of things. First of all, what Geithner was referring to is that Social Security should not be on the table right now because it's not a driver of the deficit that we're dealing with now. So he's referring to a separate process that might take place sometime next year. What the Republicans have asked for previously, and I certainly hope they're not going to continue to ask for, is essentially the dismantling of Medicare. As you know, we debated it during the presidential with Paul Ryan's proposal to turn Medicare into a voucher system. So when it comes to looking for savings in Medicare, there's ways to find savings without breaking the guarantee that we've had to our seniors for the last several decades. So I think Democrats, again, have demonstrated repeatedly that we're willing to compromise, but it's the Republicans that have to come to the table, especially around revenue. And so the question, frankly, needs to be proposed to the person who seems to be running the Republican caucus, and that's Grover Norquist, who's not even a member of this House, to say that the pledge that people should really honor is the pledge to the U.S. Constitution and not the pledge to Grover Norquist.
Well, Speaker Boehner was on, as you well know, on Fox News on Sunday, and he says, as he described negotiations, we're nowhere, period. We are nowhere. 29 days to go. You have some analysts, such as our first read team, that say the real negotiations will not begin until mid-November, but already you have Wall Street, and even forget Wall Street, everyday people who are bracing for another one of these 11th hour situations. How would you categorize where things stand right now, 29 days out?
Well, I think 29 days in politics, as you know, is a very long time. I actually feel confident that we will reach a proposal. And I say that because I know Speaker Boehner and his caucus does not want to see taxes be raised on every single person in the United States. There is a proposal that is sitting in our House right now that was passed out of the Senate that would maintain the cuts for 98% of the U.S. public.
And we will talk about that a little bit later in a move that was mentioned by Nancy Pelosi, but you express confidence. However, you have words like flabbergasted and reported laughter after Geithner presented the president's proposal. That is often not a sign of a good thing. If you and I are talking and you mention an idea to me and I laugh in your face, I don't think you would think we were going in the right direction. In real life, maybe in D.C., but in real life, that's not a good sign.
That's true, but the way I think this game goes is that I was not surprised by Boehner's response. I think that's what he has to say publicly, and clearly the president put forward everything that he would like to see, and I know that our Democratic caucus would agree with him, and then that's a point of negotiation. So the deal is now, Boehner has seen what the president has put on the table. What is Boehner going to put on? But as I say all the time, the real question is, who is going to lead now? Is Speaker Boehner going to lead his caucus, or will the Tea Party lead Speaker Boehner? That's the question of the day.
Well, Congresswoman, thank you so much for your time, and we'll see if the answer to your question of the day is one of the ones submitted on Twitter to the president. Thank you.
Wait until the wives make the boys come home.
Okay, well, joining me now, Aaron.